You're physically present, sitting in a room, people talking, music playing, phones lighting up, but mentally, you're somewhere else entirely. Not distracted in a careless way. More like your attention quietly slips inward, following a question no one asked out loud. While others are focused on what's happening, your mind drifts into why it's happening. One small pause in stimulation, and your thoughts are already connecting ideas, revisiting old conversations, or questioning how certain rules of life became normal in the first place. So what if this is how your brain is wired? Psychologically, deep thinkers have an unusually active default mode network, the system responsible for introspection, imagination, and internal simulation. When external input slows down, your mind doesn't rest. It explores, it runs scenarios, it builds meaning. For most people, relaxation means shutting their thoughts off. For you, it means letting them roam freely. Like a curious animal slipping off its leash, your thoughts sprint toward patterns, concepts, and questions that don't fit into small talk. People might assume you're zoning out. In reality, you're zoning in, just not on the surface level. You may miss pieces of the moment, but you notice structures, connections, and ideas that others never even realize are there. And once a mind learns to drift inward like this, it doesn't stop at abstract thoughts. While some people think before they speak, your mind keeps going long after the moment has passed. A casual comment, a short message, a slightly unusual tone. Hours later, your brain quietly reopens the file and starts asking questions no one else noticed. Was that intentional? Did I misread something? Was there meaning beneath the words? People call this overthinking. But for you, it isn't a habit you picked up over time. It's an automatic response. You don't analyze because you want to. You analyze because your mind treats human interaction like a system that needs decoding. Tone, timing, pauses, body language, nothing slips through unnoticed. Even a simple "okay" can trigger an entire internal investigation. Psychologically, this is linked to heightened pattern recognition and cognitive empathy. You're not just hearing what people say, you're interpreting what they mean. While others move quickly through conversations, you slow everything down, searching for coherence. The downside is mental overload. Thoughts stack up, overlap, and compete for attention until your mind feels like too many tabs open at once. Silence gets loud. Sleep becomes harder. But here's the hidden advantage. The same mechanism that causes overthinking also produces insight. You connect emotional dots early. You sense motives before they're explained. Your brain simply refuses to accept shallow explanations for complex human behavior. And when a brain analyzes everything this closely, emotions don't pass through lightly either. They sink in and stay longer than most people expect. You don't react loudly, you react deeply. Something small happens, a shift in someone's voice, a story that hits closer than expected, a line in a song that slips past your defenses. On the outside, you remain composed, maybe even unreadable. On the inside, an entire emotional narrative is unfolding. Deep thinkers experience emotion in layers. Not necessarily more emotion, but more detail. Where others feel sadness, you feel sadness, mixed with memory, meaning, and reflection. Your mind doesn't just register feelings, it examines them, traces where they came from, and links them to earlier moments you may not have thought about in years. Psychologically, this happens because introspective minds have a strong connection between emotional processing and self-reflection. Emotions don't pass through you quickly, they stay long enough to be understood. The cost is emotional fatigue. Processing feelings thoroughly takes time, space, and often solitude. You need quiet to let emotions settle instead of pushing them away. But the benefit is precision empathy. You sense emotional undercurrents without explanations. You understand what people are feeling even when they can't name it themselves. People often call it overly sensitive, but actually, you're emotionally perceptive and your mind insists on understanding before moving on. That's why quiet isn't empty for you. It's the only place where emotions and thoughts can finally settle into order. While many people rush to fill quiet moments with noise, you settle into them. Silence feels useful, almost necessary. It's where your thoughts finally have space to stretch, rearrange, and connect without interruption. You often speak less, not because you lack opinions, but because words feel expensive. You'd rather wait until a thought is fully formed than release something half-finished. Small talk drains you because it demands immediate output before your internal processing is complete. Neurologically, deep thinkers rely heavily on internal stimulation. Your mind prefers to work things through privately first, then share once clarity arrives. That's why you listen more than you talk. And when you do speak, people tend to pause, either because what you say lands or because it disrupts the flow they were expecting. Others may misread your quiet as distance or disengagement. In reality, you're deeply involved observing, connecting patterns, and building a larger mental picture. Silence isn't empty to you. It's where your best thinking happens. And when you spend that much time thinking internally, surface-level answers start to feel insufficient. At some point, you realize that most explanations are designed for comfort, not accuracy. They work well enough, but they leave something unresolved. When someone says, "That's just how things are," your mind doesn't settle. It leans forward, not in defiance, but in curiosity. You want to know why that explanation exists, what assumptions it rests on, and what it quietly ignores. Deep thinkers struggle with surface-level answers because their minds instinctively search for underlying systems. You don't stop at outcomes. You trace causes. You look for patterns, incentives, and invisible pressures shaping behavior and beliefs. This is why easy narratives rarely satisfy you. Complexity attracts you, but only when it holds together. You're not drawn to mystery for entertainment. You're drawn to coherence, to explanations that survive repeated questioning. Psychologically, this trait is known as epistemic curiosity, a drive to understand how knowledge itself is formed. You question norms, authority, and common sense, not to rebel, but to verify. The downside is frustration. Shortcuts feel dishonest. The upside is depth. You don't collect opinions, you build understanding. When you question systems deeply enough, you stop thinking in moments. You start thinking about consequences, timelines, and where everything eventually leads. Your mind is oriented toward the long term. While many people focus on what feels urgent, you instinctively zoom out. You think in timelines, consequences, and second-order effects. A decision is never just a moment to you. It's a branching path of futures, each one carrying weight. This makes you careful, sometimes overly so. You hesitate, not because you're afraid, but because you see outcomes others haven't considered yet. What looks like overthinking from the outside is, for you, a form of responsibility. Deep thinkers tend to value delayed rewards over immediate relief. You'd rather build something that lasts than chase quick validation. Comfort matters less than coherence. Speed matters less than direction. This way of thinking can feel isolating. Your mind rarely shuts off completely. You notice cycles repeating in people, in systems, in yourself. You keep asking, where does this lead? But this is also your quiet strength. You make decisions that age well. You recognize endings before others realize they've started something. You don't just think deeply, you think forward.